Welcome to a video from digital-lifestyle.com. So this is my new sound collection for the Korg Modwave. This is the Multipoly collection from my Multipoly there. So what I've done, these are custom programs that I've made available for the Multipoly in my different sound sets. I've sampled them, brought them in through Sample Builder, brought them into the Multipoly, and then created performances and programs with those samples. So what you see, we've got 41 including the template, custom performances, all using custom samples as well. So it brought it through Sample Builder. I'll talk about Sample Builder at the end of the video, showing you how to load those in. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate those and show you can get the collection from the digital-lifestyle.com. There's a free section selection, and then there's the full set. It's quite a lot of work in these because you've got to create the sounds on the Multipoly, you've got to sample them, then you've got to bring them into Sample Builder, create the key zones, bring them, and then create the performances. Anyway, here's the sounds. So this is a kind of PPG type bell, in fact using PPG wavetables that I've brought in, and it's got a nice bright sound in it. Of course, what you can do with these, you can create your own performances, you can bring that brightness down, use a mod sequencer and motion sequencer, and do all that kind of stuff with these sort of raw samples. But these are examples of those, what you can do with them. So we've got some nice sort of lead sounds. The Moog lead sound, there's a Moog, it's a 3 oscillator one, that's using the 3 oscillators. This is a 4 oscillator one, so using the 4 oscillators from the Multipoly to make up this sound, which itself is using a single oscillator on the Modwave. So what you're getting there is that really big 4 oscillator lead, and we're using just 1 oscillator of the available 4 on the Multipoly. So you could easily combine that, go into samples. You could bring another layer in. Double it up. And you could do that again and have 16 oscillator leads. So it's kind of that thing you can do with it. So that's 4 oscillator lead. This one is a 5th pad. So this one I've actually used 2 brass sounds that are sampled from the Multipoly and created this sort of 5th sound. So it's in that nice complex sort of rich pad using 2 brass samples from the Multipoly with a bit of filtering on there. We've got a selection of drums in here. We've got kick, and then we've got the snare, so you can get the nice sort of Simmons type drum. And I even got some sort of hi-hats you can use. So you can use those in the motion sequencer and sort of make your own patterns with those. One of my favorite sounds is analog piano. I love that analog piano of the 70s, analog instruments, analog synths, trying to recreate those pianos. They don't sound anything really like pianos, but they do have a nice analog type sound to them. So Tangerine Dream and other groups 70s, you sort of use that. It's quite a delicate sound, but when you lower it down, it can have some sort of bass with it. And of course, again, you could layer that with some strings or something else to make a really nice sort of sound. In fact, let's make one. Let's bring in some strings on there. that kind of thing. I'll save that one. Include that in the collection. Okay, then we've got some same principle again, analog, trying to create a choir sound on an analog synth, which I kind of put that mindset in when I was doing on the Multipoly. So that's kind of, it sounds choir-like, but it's an analog synth. So it's not meant to be a choir, it's meant to be an analog synth. But again, it's quite a useful and playable sound. This one, Analogical Wavetable, WT, is because on the Multipoly there's a wavetable called Analogical. So I created a sound that used that, sampled that, and brought that in. Couple of samples now that of instruments that I've recreated on the Multipoly. So that's the English horn from an Art Pro Soloist, sampled and brought in, and same for the fuzz guitar. Harpsichord from Art Pro Soloist. And a couple of prog leads, again from the Pro Soloist. So a couple of different sort of lead sounds then that sound really, really good. Built around an Art Odyssey, Art Pro Soloist Suite. That's a sweep sound from Pro Soloist that I've recreated, and I always like those. In the 70s, the King seems to call things Synthy and Synthy bass and Synthy lead and things like that on those early synths. And so I've got a Synthy bass. So we've got a Synthy bass. Sampled some PWM. They've got really nice big PWM sounds. Instant hit on there. Some classic synth strings. Comic Wow is another Pro Soloist type sound. So a nice sort of deep synth sound there. These are all multi-samples as well. So I recorded it. I think there's 6 multi-samples per sound. Bit of cross mod bell, actually using some cross modulation. This is cross mod bell. So using cross modulation on the multipoly to get the nice bell sound. And it's because it's that distonal sound. We've got a deep bass. All the samples are looped as well. And dual PWM. This one that I quite like. This is on the DW8000. There's a preset called 12 string. So I recreated that on the multipoly, sampled it, and that's what you've got. It's a nice sort of bright sound, isn't it? Another one did the same thing. This one was called Airport 8000 on the multipoly, and it's a preset from the DW8000, which I've got over there. Nice synth sound. If you like the DW8000 sound and you've got a multipoly, I have got a complete set for that, and I have for the Modwave as well, actually. So make sure you check those out. A DW8000 bell. We've got a couple of FM sounds that I made on the multipoly. So this is using FM on the cross modulation on the multipoly and sampled, so it sounds like a DX7 type bell. The DX7 one is a single one. The DX5 is a dual one, two layers like a DX5. It's interesting when you recreate these with various samples, they have a different feel than if you just created it entirely on the Modwave, which some of these sounds like the DW8000 sounds you can do, and I've got a set for them, but they get a different character when you sample them and bring those in. It's a nice filter bass and a filter brass. This one's called Miami Bass because it reminds me of a sort of Jan Hammer, Miami Vice bass type thing. And then what I did, I brought that into an arpeggiator so you could get this kind of effect. Then, there you hear what I mean about it sort of sound like Miami Vice. Love that sort of arpeggiator on the random like that. Then we've got a monopoly big lead. So this is like a lead sound from Monopoly that I made and sampled. And then we've got a nice simple pad that uses one of the brass sounds but with a bit of filter on it. So it's actually using one of the brass samples with just the filter brought down to show you really what you can do with these samples. You can then do the same sort of techniques. But the power brass, which I think is actually the same sample that the previous sample used, but with the filter open. A couple of PPG type sounds. This one's called Almost Vox. So you can hear that. especially lower down. A real digital sound to it. So it's got that real sort of digital sound. This is one called Horizon. So you can really hear that sort of digital, and then you can hear the looping on there as well. And you can hear it cycle through that wavetable. This is called PPG Soundtrack. We've got a resonant synth. And of course, with the filter, you can add some resonance to this if you want to. One I liked, a saw organ. It's using a sawtooth to make an organ sound. Sounds like a church organ. SEM filter, this one uses the two separate filters of the multipoly. So you've got two filters going on at the same time. You can hear the high pass and you can hear the low pass there. It gives it that buzzy sound. TD Chords. This one combines a bit of Modwave sample and some extra Modwave processing. TD for Tangerine Dream, especially the lower. Really hear that phasing on there. The DW8P is the one I just added to the collection, actually. There's an extra sample I put in there, which is a model of the DW8000 electric piano, recreated and sampled. It's got a really nice sort of almost FM, but it's using a wavetable on the DW8000. So those are the samples. So there's 41, I think, samples included in the collection. I've made performances and programs for them all, so you can have them in layers. Import those in. Just go into your librarian and go to import. Look for the zip file. In the zip file, you'll see one that says ID Multipoly. Bring that in, and that will then bring all the sounds in. But before you do that, you do need to use Sample Builder. And in the zip file, you'll see a collection and individual sounds. So what I do with my multipoly, what I do with my Modwave is I have a big set like this called ID Samples. So I've got all my samples in, because one thing with the Modwave and the wave state as well, when you send your samples from Sample Builder to the synth, it erases what's on the synth and sends what you just were told it to send. So by me having this big collection with, actually I've got D110s, and I've got Fairlights and Multipoly and TX7s and all sorts. So I add these in and send this in one batch over. So I would send that over now, and that'll send down to synth. So you want to add my sounds in. So in the zip file, you can go open your own bank. If you haven't got a bank, I'll show you that in a sec. So in the zip file, you'll see the bank, the patches I've sent you. So you go to add multi-samples from your master bank. So you'll see a folder like that. And there you'll see all the multi-samples. So you can basically just find the first one like that, hold down shift, get the next, and do open like that. And add all those sounds, or those samples, into your bank. And then once you've done that, they'll be in the bank. You'll be able to see them like that. You can then send it, and it'll send down to the synth. If you've got multiple, you can see there's just one Modwave connected here, so that will send down those. If you don't already have samples and you want to make your own bank, then you can just go to File, and New Bank, create a new bank, and just import those in, and then import the other ones from my collections or your own collections. If you don't want to do that and you just want to send that one bank over, then if you go to Open Bank, into the zip file, you'll see an ID MP sample bank. If you open that, you'll see just the samples there for this collection. You can send that. But remember, when it does that, it'll erase what's samples, not the built-in ones, of course, just the custom samples. It'll erase the custom samples and only have them in there. So like I said earlier, the way that I do it is I have one big bank. Let me open that one again. With everything in, and then I add in the ones that I want to include. So go to File, Add Multi-Samples, and browse for the ones in my zip file I provide you. If you're using the native version, then I've already in the zip file included the consolidated one, the consolidated bank file as well. So you can put that into a folder where your other ones are, or in the Modwave native. I'll show you. Here you do user sample banks, and that's where I've dropped my file in. If you're not already using one, then you can just browse to that zip folder, okay that, and that will bring that in as well. I have actually got a full video on doing all this on samples, so watch that if you get stuck, because that will really help you out. So there you go. That's my collection for the Modwave of samples from the Multipoly. They've got a different flavour to them from just creating them on the Modwave, so it's an interesting sound set. So grab them from thedigitallifestyle.com. Thanks for watching. If you've got any suggestions for sound collections you'd like to hear on the Modwave, Multipoly, or the Wave State, let me know. I'll try and incorporate them into a future sound pack and videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.